Okay, hey guys, and welcome back to episode 5, which is exploring uniques. So, in this episode, we're going to go back to that website I showed you guys in the last video, which is d2runes.io /uniques. So, once again, someone on Reddit had done an excellent job with this website, and I just wanted to use it to showcase the new uniques introduced in this new expansion, Reign of the Warlock. So the first one is a jewel. Now, I just want to warn you guys up front, this will be a longer video. There's more uniques to cover than there is rune words. So the first one's a jewel. It's called Protector's Frost. I believe you get these from the new Ancients challenge, the Uber Ancients or Colossal Ancients, whatever they're calling them. So Protector's Jewels level 75 required to equip. It gives a 1% chance to cast level 25 frozen armor when struck, so that's quite high as far as the level of frozen armor. Gives some minimal cold damage. Then it's got a nice little boost to both cold resistance and cold skill damage, so you can get 5 to 10 to both of those stats. Then it gives 3 to 5% experience gained, which is always a welcome mod, and 30 to 50% extra gold for monsters, as well as 15 to 30% better chance of magical items. So overall, I could see a lot of use cases for these new jewels. Now, I don't know if they'll limit you to carrying just one on your character or not, but if you could wear multiples, these could become quite strong. Like, I could see 4 of these in a shield for a cold character. And it would just, it'd be very overpowered as well with the magic find and everything else. So I believe also the chance to cast with stacks, so you'd have like a 4% chance instead of a 1% chance. Again, that's if you're allowed to wear multiples. I'm just not sure how these work yet. Next one's called Guardian's Light Jewel. It gives a 1% chance to cast level 25 Psychic Ward when struck. 15 to 35 magic damage, 5 to 10% to enemy magic resist, 5 to 10% to magic skill damage, 3 to 5% experience gained, and 30 to 50 extra gold from monsters, as well as an additional 15 to 30% better chance to find magical items. So again, huge buff for any magical characters with the second jewel. They're very reminiscent of the rainbow facets, but they're a little bit more buff. I think like it's almost like a rainbow facet on steroids. So this one's called Guardian's Thunder. 1% chance to cast level 25 Cyclone Armor when struck. Add some minimal lightning damage, and then 5 to 10% to enemy lightning resistance, and 5 to 10% to lightning skill damage. 3 to 5 experience gained, and then this seems like they're all standard plus XP plus extra gold and plus MF, so I'm just not going to read that off every time. So the next one's called Defender's Fire. It gives a 1% chance to cast level 25 Blaze when struck, gives some fire damage, 5 to 10% to fire resistance, 5 to 10% to fire skill damage, and again the rest of the standard mods. So they're very much like rainbow facets in that way. I'm just going to very quickly show you what the others do. So Protector Stone is for what type is that? For physical, alright, instead of an elemental. And then Defender's Bile is for poison characters. So they're basically hyped up rainbow facets. They do about twice the damage. Okay, moving on here. They did introduce a new amulet, I believe. If I can find it here, it is Entropy Lockets. So 4% chance to cast level 19 Miasma Chain on striking is pretty good, actually. 10% chance faster cast rate, 10% chance or 10% to magic skill damage, which is really good. Increase maximum mana 11%, which not bad for an amulet. Lightning resist 28%, and then magic damage reduced by 12. So not bad. It's always nice to have some items with high magic damage reduced. I think the only other one is like Crescent Moon, and that only goes up to 10, as you can see. So not bad. Nice little addition there. You're missing plus skills, but if you use that on a Warlock synergistically with the synergies for Miasma Chain, this could be quite strong. So even like a Hammered In could benefit from this greatly, etc. So moving on to rings here, they did add 2 new rings. One is called Sling. Sling gives you 10% faster cast rate, minus 5% to enemy magic resistance, 1 to town portal. Oh, very cool. See, I was wondering when they'd finally do that. I wonder if that still consumes town portals or not. If it doesn't, that is a very cool addition. I really like that. Slow target by 15%, 13 to energy, and 16% chance, better chance of getting magical items. So a very cool little addition, only level 50 to wear. I like that one. This one's called Opal Vein. Opal Vein gives you a 2% chance to cast level 15 Flame Wave on attack. It also gives a 10% faster cast rate, 5% to lightning, fire, cold, magical, and physical skill damage. Very cool. And also all resist 6, 3 to life after each kill, and 1 to mana after each kill. Not bad. Again, I really wish they would boost things like all resist, life after kill, mana after kill. Like, you gotta remember, guys, it's a video game. It's a power fantasy video game. It's okay to have buffed items. It's okay to have the griefs and the what was that new claw they introduced for the assassin? The name escapes me right now. Mosaic. Yeah, it's okay to have these super buffed items. The way the gamers use them in play has proven that not everybody goes straight for these items every time. It's not like they break the meta and you can't, find value in other items. People like to use all sorts of different things, for style points, if nothing else. So there's nothing wrong with buffing items a little bit more, but anyway, I digress. Going down here, we've got a new troll belt called Geed's Wager. Okay, I always like anything with gold and magic fine. Let's see what this is. 13% faster run walk on a belt is always welcome. Okay, 20% faster cast rate, very cool. So we have another contender for the slot if you were thinking of using like arachnids. Now you also have Geeds to consider. So it gives you 17% faster hit recovery, minus 5% to enemy magic resist. Okay, so you definitely want to consider that on like a hammered in over the arachnids there. 100% enhanced defense, all resist 6, and 52% extra gold from monsters. So huge missed opportunity to add magic fine on this belt. I think that would be the stat that would kind of tip me over and make me want to use it over, say, like an arachnids mesh. But arachnids is still giving you +1 to skills, 5% increased mana, and if you're a melee or range character, 10% slow. The stats are quite strong, so in order to contend with that, if that was the goal, they should have buffed this more, maybe like 1 to 200 extra gold and then maybe like 25 to 50 MF or something. It would just make for a more exciting item. Also, you could boost that faster run walk to 20%. Like, again, it's a power fantasy game, guys. Don't be afraid to make items fun. That's really at the crux of it. Make them fun. I'm not saying everything overpowered, but make at least more items on the roster more fun to use, more tempting. Okay, continuing on. We got new unique boots. They're called Wraith Step, and they're for the new Warlock class. Let me just get the stats on screen there. 1 to Eldritch skills. Okay, so I can already tell you, they're basically like the Shadow Dancer version, but for Warlock. So 30% faster run walk. Again, that could have been boosted to like 50. Like Wraith Step, right? You're a ghost, you're going fast. Keep it on theme. Don't be afraid to make items fun, guys. Make items fun again, all right? Give me that patch 08 feeling where you had like huge life boost from Shackle and all these different things, like more deadly strike on certain uniques. Like I think Ariette's Mask had deadly strike, and like, yeah, some people consider those items to be OP, but you know what? I like 25% damage reduction on the Vampire Gaze. I don't know why you guys ever roll back some of those mods. It doesn't make for exciting items. It doesn't make for exciting gameplay. And I used to see, for example, Vampire's Gaze, the 08 version, get a lot of play in slot, right? For both character and mercenary. Ever since they made it maximum 20% damage reduced, not as many people use Vampire Gaze. Like, sure, it's still a niche item. It has its place for Bozons and mercenaries and things like that, but it's just, it was so much better at 25%, right? You'd throw a Burr Rune in there, you'd maybe wear it with like a string of years, and you'd cover your gap, right? You'd hit your 50% window there. So it was great fun. Anyway, let's continue on here. What else do you get? You get 20% FHR on these boots, you get a little bit of defense bonus, and then you get dexterity and energy. And then I see they have dexterity listed twice. That must be a mistake. It's either going to be dexterity and energy, or dexterity, energy, and a third stat. If I had to guess, maybe strength, but I guess we'll see. We'll see when we actually find an item, a pair of them in game. So let's continue on here. I'm just doing a quick scan to make sure I don't miss any new items for you guys. So okay, no new gloves. I think there's a couple new helmets, so let's keep an eye out for those. The first unique helmet, let's keep going here. Okay, here it is. I can already see it. So it's called Hellwarden's Will, and it's a death mask. They got a nice new graphic, right? This is the old death mask graphic. They got a nice new graphic on it. I wonder if that will reflect in game on the character and the character screen. I guess we'll find out. So Hellwarden's Will gives 1 to all skills, 20% increased attack speed, 20% faster cast rate. Again, this is reminiscent of like patch 08 Valkyrie Wing when it used to have the faster cast rate, right? Okay, continue on here. -5 to enemy magic resistance, -8% to enemy fire resistance, 200% enhanced defense, and 6 mana after each kill. Okay, so not bad. I could definitely see a lot of like hybrid characters, especially that are making use of both melee or missile skills for the increased attack, while also running something like a teleport or some other maybe damage spells for the faster cast. So very cool overall. Continuing on here, I think there was one more helm that they introduced, if I'm not mistaken, or perhaps that was all for the helms. Okay, well, you guys can let me know in the comments if while I'm going along here I maybe missed something, but as far as I can tell, it's just the one new helmet that they've introduced. So continuing on here for our armors, I don't think they introduced any new armors, not any that I've seen advertised yet anyway. Who knows, as people play the game, maybe there'll be some surprises, some things that haven't been leaked, but you know how it is these days. You pretty well have all the information as soon as the game hits the market. So anyway, yeah, there's no new armors as far as I can tell. I don't think there's any new unique shields either, but I'm just gonna do a quick scan regardless. For some of you newer players who've maybe never seen the full roster of items, you know, this is kind of a fun little place, d2runes.io, to go and just check out all the new items and even the old items that exist in game, right? Have fun, look at the stats, see how they can spawn. So speaking of spawning, here's some new items for the Warlock. They're like tomes, like basically spell books, and there's 4 of them. I'm not going to read off all the stats for every single one, but I will hover over them as I read some of the key stats that jump out at me. So Ars Dual Mephisto is, it looks like a caster based, for like a caster based build. Gives 30 faster cast rate, 2 to all Warlock skills, 30% hit recovery. It does give some damage and an AR bonus. I suppose it could be used for a melee one as well. -17 to enemy magic resist, and then some all resist and defense, as well as a 15% chance to cast over 28 blizzards. So not bad overall. Kind of an exciting new unique for the new class. Then you have Ars Tor Balos, which is 15% chance cast level 1 decrypt when struck. Okay, very useful. Like I was saying, for endgame bosses and the like. 2 to demon skills, 2 to consume, 2 to blood boil, 2 to engorge, and 2 to demonic mastery. So pretty strong there if you're running certain builds that make use of those skills. Gives you enhanced defense, and it also gives life per level as well as a physical damage reduction of 8%, so not bad overall. Next one's called Ars del Diablos, and it's a 15% chance to cast level 1 terror when you're struck, 2 to chaos skills for the Warlock, 25% FCR, 18% fire skill damage, 3 to apocalypse for the Warlock, enhanced defense, fire resist 24%, 8 to mana after each kill, and a huge boost to light radius at 9 points. So very cool, especially if you're lacking light radius. You know, if they made the game a little darker, I think light radius would come into play more, but all the same, still a cool little stat to have. The next one is called Measured Wrath, and they don't have the stat, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere around 15% if I had to guess. Chance to cast level 25 Ring of Fire when struck. So very strong if you're running this on a Warlock with a fully synergized Ring of Fire. 1 to all Warlock skills, 25% faster cast rate, 2 to Flame Wave, 3 to Ring of Fire, 1 to Summon Tainted Warlock, enhanced defense, 18 to vitality, 24 all resist, and 3 to life. So overall, very cool. Now, as I'm reading these uniques, keep in mind some of these mods like all resist, vitality, they might there might be a range. Like, I don't know if the website gives a range even for some of the plus skills. It might not be always 3 to Ring of Fire. Like, there might be a range like 1 to 3 or 2 to 3. It's possible the website doesn't have the range up, and that's fine. They've done a great job, so I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that is missing from the info there. Let's continue on. So I'm just keeping an eye out for any new axes. I don't think they have introduced any as far as I can tell. I do recognize all the names. I know I'm a big nerd. But yeah, I don't think any new axes. Let's see, any new bows. Keep an eye out for a new bow. It would be fun if they did add some new bows. I feel like bows don't get a lot of love. There's a lot of really nonsense bows like Mage Wrath, and no one uses Mage Wrath. Just improve it. Same thing for Cliff Killer. It has potential, but it's just the damage is just too low, and it's not a lot of mods on there to make it worthwhile, right? Even this one, I know some people upgraded, but give more damage, make it go to 300%. Give a reason for people to use it. Anyway, there's no new bows, there's no new crossbows either, I don't think. No, there is not. Daggers, I think there might be a new dagger. I know they did a lot of dagger rune words. Let's see if there's any unique ones. Yeah, there is. So the Blood Pact Shard Minthro Point is a new one. When to all skills, 30% cast rate, 2 to bind demon, 2 to blood boil, 2 to blood oath, slow target 25%, increase maximum life 11%, and then a chance for magic items at 29%. So again, there could be a range there, but overall pretty cool for the Warlock, for a caster type anyway. Let's see if there's any new blunt weapons added. I don't think they did, which again, quite a shame. Love me a good blunt weapon. Pole arms, again, missed opportunity. There could have been some cool Warlock scythes, a variation of the Reaper's Toll or something for the Warlock with Warlock skills and the like, but okay, that's alright. Any new scepters? Unfortunately not. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like they have developers at Blizzard. They have the budget, they have the time, but they're just lazy when it comes to giving us new things. Again, this was a paid expansion. I'm going through a lot of item categories that didn't even get one consideration. At minimum, for a true expansion, you guys could have added one unique in each class. It would have taken you a grand total of maybe 3 to 5 hours. You could have had an intern do it. This is not hard to code, guys. Anyway, spears. No, there's no new spears. Again, as far as I can tell, please let me know in the comments if you see something I miss. But nothing new as far as I can tell. Let's see if there's any new staves. No, Bone Ash exists as far as I know. Right? Or is that new? No, Bone Ash exists. It's just not an item you often find, but it does exist. Okay, so yeah, so there's no new staves or staffs, so that's disappointing. No new Sork orbs. There is a new sword, I know that. Here it is, Shadowfang. So yeah, so you get a damage range on it. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not Shadowfang. It's something similar. And it's a legend sword. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. Yeah, my voice is starting to go a little bit from all the talking. Dreadfang. I knew it was one of the fangs. Part of the Fang family. Alright. So this is that's Junior Fang. This is Senior Fang. The stats here are a little bit beefier. So Dreadfang will give you 33% chance to cast level 3 amp damage, which is a huge cast chance. Even though the enhanced damage on this item is not great, it does give you Deadly Strike and this chance for amp damage. When you do all the math on it, especially if you have an ethereal one, it ends up being pretty decent. Especially for a Warlock to use, it ends up being pretty decent. And yeah, I mean, if you're upgrading it, I guess Legend Sword is already an elite, but still, like, if you can manage to get an ethereal one in a Zod rune, I could see it being worthwhile on a Warlock. In its regular incarnation, like non-ethereal, I could still see it being alright. It'll outclass a lot of the other items in slot. But if it was between, say, like Dreadfang and like an ethereal death rune word, I would still go for the death, even with the amp damage. It's just like when you run the numbers, you realize you're better off, right? So anyway, let's continue on here. I think that's the only new sword they've added. I'm just trying to see if there's any. See, like throwing items, they get no love, right? You get very few options here. Javelin, same thing, no love. No new assassin weapons, very boring. Same old 4. No new wands, even though Warlock would be like a perfect opportunity to throw a new wand in there. Like, why can't Warlocks use wands? You know what I mean? I just don't get it. So there you go, guys. That's all the new uniques. Pretty disappointing when it's all said and done as far as like number of uniques. Now, as far as the stats and things on those uniques, I gotta give it up to Blizzard. There's a lot of W's to be given. But again, my gripe with the uniques isn't so much the new ones. They're fine, they're fine additions. It's just certain things are underpowered. Like, okay, you guys made these new mirror boots. It's an elite item, right? When you find a unique elite, it should always be a cause for excitement. Yet the stats on these, they're just not that great, right? Like, maybe there's a variable to Eldritch skills. Maybe it goes up to +2 or 3. In that case, I take it back. It's a viable item. But like everything else is fairly low. They're not very fast boots in particular. 20% hit recovery is negligible. Like, sure, I know it's a rare stat on boots, but it's negligible. You can get it elsewhere. You can like pick it up in charms. The stat bonuses are negligible. The defense stat is negligible. So I don't know why they make it underpowered. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm just going to end it here, guys. But what I want to say, Blizzard, if you're watching these, if you guys are listening, seriously, I'm very passionate about this game, but please consider it. All right, I can give you a list. I can compile a list for you guys. There's so many uniques that are underutilized. Like, okay, just to make the point, right? Look at all these armors that we have, right? This basically whole first row, with the exception of Twitch Thor, are all useless items, right? So here you have, okay, 5% life leech, 10% or 10 to dexterity. What else do you really get? And I realize it's a very low level item, but the armor slot should feel robust, right? It should feel like the weapon slot does. It should feel like when you put on an armor, it has intrinsic value and there's a reason for you to wear it. If this is a unique, it has to stand out from just, say, like the next rare armor. I know you can't get life leech on a rare armor, but still you can get stats much better than these. So anyway, same thing with blink bats. Like, okay, it's a high faster hit recovery, nothing else. Make it fun. Put a teleport O skill on there or something, right? So that the blink bat is themed, like you think of it as like blinking into a new location with teleport, right? Like, there's ways to improve these items that's not OP but makes it very fun. It would also balance out items like Enigma, right? It would give players another opportunity to have teleport without having to farm a jobber, which is a huge undertaking for your casual players, right? Next item here, the Centurion. Like, again, look at these stats. I'm not impressed. Oh, 50 to attack rating, whoop-de-doo. 30 to defense, so what? 15 to mana, 15 to stamina. Like, again, I know these are low level items and they give low level stats, but make it fun. Give like 200 to armor, give 15 to replenish life. Like, just beef a few of those stats up, and make 100% slow stamina drain, so your stamina stops draining, and then you really feel like a centurion that just keeps going and going, right? Like, try to theme the items a little bit. Twitch Thor's fine, it's got some decent stats for the level requirement. I'm not gonna go item by item, but like a couple more come to mind, like Sparkling Mail. It's a terrible item, right? This is a unique you find. You get all excited. Oh, a unique chainmail, yay! You ID it, and you see these stats, and you just think, the hell? I gave this company my money. What are they doing? Who came up with this? Like, did some employee's toddler like come up with this on the bring your kid to work day? And he's just like, here, son, here's a piece of paper and a pencil. Come up with some mods for a new unique we're making. Sparkling mail. And the kid's all, enhanced defense, lightning resist, attacker takes lightning damage and lightning damage. And then the dad's looking at it and he's like, well, son, yeah, that sounds great. How exciting. And then they actually programmed these stats into this armor. Like, and the thing is, it wouldn't even be so bad if, like, say, the stats they did put were bumped higher. Like, let me make a point. For example, it's the sparkling mail. You're obviously trying to have some sort of lightning theme going on here with the lightning thorns and the lightning resist and the lightning damage, right? So why not beef those stats up to something like a 100 lightning resist, maybe like 15 to 25 lightning thorns, and then maybe something more exciting like 25 to 150 lightning damage, right? Just by beefing the existing stats, you already have a more viable item that more people would be more excited to find and use. Like, other than making your grail, no one's wearing sparkling mail. You know what I mean? You find the item, you make your grail, and you go, okay, great, I found this unique, check. But it's not exciting, right? So anyway, I say all that to say there's a lot of these kinds of items. I'm gonna cut the video off shortly, guys. Sorry, I'm being verbose, but like, I mean, look at Heavenly Garb, right? What a great name. What a great graphic for the armor. But you're looking at these stats, and it's just like, oh, that's not exciting. Enhanced defense, a little mana regen, very low all res, very low energy, 50% damage to undead, and 100 attack against undead. Like, what case use do you have for this unless you literally have nothing else and you're wearing, like, say, extremely basic armor, like some socketed base you found on the floor in Bloodmore? Like, what is my reason to ever make use of this unique beyond check on the grail? Like, Heavenly Garb, great name, but like, let's work these stats a little bit, Blizzard, right? Let's give more all resist. Let's give like 50 to energy. Like, give me a reason to find this item and go, wow, that's heavenly, right? Like, keep it themed with the name of it and everything. Maybe a heavenly armor does 200% damage to undead. So what if it's a low level item? Like, give me a reason to choose this armor over all the other armors. And then while we're on the subject of low effort, a lot of these don't even have unique graphics. Like, you see when you look at, like, say, Silks of the Victor, it's got some unique, interesting graphics. Same with this full plate mail, right? Even Rattle Cage to an extent. It's, the graphics are fairly unique, but then most of these, it's just like, it's the standard graphic. Okay, they did something for this ring mail, I believe, but otherwise it's just the standard graphic and like a color change. Like, that's lazy. Make things interesting, right? Like, make interesting, unique designs like you have for like Wall of the Eyeless or like Lidless Wall, right? You've got all this unique artwork. Same with these. Like, Tiamat's should not look like Storm Shield. I get that they're both of the same type of like shield tree, if you will, but you know, do a unique graphic. Like, it doesn't take much, guys. Anyway, I digress. Like, you see how this has a certain graphic and this has a certain graphic, and then they got lazy and just like copied the same graphic 3 times and just changed the color. Like, we demand more, right? You thought to make the necro heads look distinct from one another, why not the tomes, right? Like, anyway, I could go on forever on the things that are low effort about you know, things inside of Diablo 2 that Blizzard chooses to do, but I don't want to come across negative again. It's my favorite game of all time, and so I think I'll stop there before I continue criticizing anymore, and we'll see you guys in episode 6.